It's go time.
So we are currently in the middle of giving Evan a tattoo. I've never done a not cosmetic tattoo. So right now I do tattooing cosmetically. So I do like eyeliner, eyebrows, lip blushing, all that. But I've never given like an actual tattoo. So that's kind of what we're working on as we speak. We're giving him a hand tattoo, which was very bold for a first ever tattoo. Some people might smart soul start small, but never been one to do something like that, and it's not that serious. So here we are giving Evan a hand tattoo. It's actually looking pretty good.
Looks pretty clean. So my question to you is, are you nervous? Like, were you nervous doing this?
I think at first I was kind of nervous, but now I'm like, I think I'm going to be like addicted to doing this.
Yeah.
Like even just like seeing like the little bit of progress is so much fun. And I just love artsy things.
Well, you're pretty good at them.
This is like literally me in my prime. Okay, but what do we want to talk about? Okay, let's talk about I heard a really cool podcast the other day, and so somebody reached out to me asking, I think we were like trying to get ideas for things that people wanted us to talk about. And one of the things was like self-image.
Mm-hmm.
Self-image, like body dysmorphia, especially like in the bodybuilding industry, and how to like handle that. And I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast, and I really liked the way that this was worded, because I think that it's something that a lot of people could practice a lot better. But it's basically like the way that we like think is the way that we see the world, and the way that we see the world becomes our reality. So like if we're constantly, it's almost like the energy that you put into the world is the energy that you get out of it. And that's like the same thing with your thoughts.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think the like part that I liked about it, it was such a cool analogy. They basically compared the world to like your For You page. So it's like whatever your thoughts are is what you're gonna believe. So you know how like if you talk about, I don't know, if you like are thinking or talking out loud about a store, you're probably going to notice that that store is on your For You page.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because your phone is listening. And that's like what determines your For You page, obviously, is like what you're talking about. And it's the same thing. Like your brain is programmed to believe its thoughts. So like if you're constantly thinking like, oh, this situation sucks, then like you're setting yourself up for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to sit there and talk negatively about yourself, it's eventually just going to become your reality.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a podcast that I listened to, Joe Rogan podcast, and he had, I forgot the guy's name. He's a director, worked with like Quentin Tarantino and a few other guys. And he's done like a million things in life, and was basically saying when he has interest in something, he doesn't just like approach it as like a hobby. So like basically like if somebody were to start competing or if he were to start competing in bodybuilding, he would say, okay, I'm a bodybuilder, not just like dabble in it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like if he were to, start writing, he'd be like, I'm a writer, and basically create the reality to where like that's what he is.
I mean, but you are though, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It does. I get like where it kind of feels weird and like fraud being like, for me, for example, like I don't like being like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder because like I just started,
Mm-hmm.
but like you are though, you know what I mean? Like I'm bodybuilding. So like, I'm not just going to say like, oh, I'm kind of a bodybuilder or, oh, like I'm trying to be a bodybuilder. It's like, no, you fucking are, you aren't.
Yeah, and I think the deterrent to that is just basically you caring about what other people think, right? So, like, if you're just starting into bodybuilding or competing, you not calling yourself a bodybuilder because you just started and, like, not defining yourself as a bodybuilder is basically you considering what other people would think of you saying that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, who cares?
Yeah, it's a weird concept though. Like, why would we like, it's when you're new to a job, you don't just say like, oh, I'm trying to be this.
Yeah.
Like if you apply for a job, you
Yeah.
mean you either are or you aren't.
Right. Like, you're not trying to be a nurse, like, you're a nurse.
Yeah. Like you might be new to it, but it doesn't make you not that.
And I mean, it's only going to help you in the long run. It's only going to make you feel more confident and make you a better nurse or truck driver, whatever you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know, we should talk about like bodybuilding though and like how it affects the way you like perceive yourself and like what it's like trying to ignore like outside noise and other people on social media because it is really freaking hard to not compare yourself even though you know it's toxic, you know that you shouldn't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like that's all so much easier said than done. And I think I see so many people online say like, oh, if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, then like you're in the sport for the wrong reason. But I feel like that's horseshit personally, because like at the end of the day, everybody's competing to compete. Like they chase like competition.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't just do it to like go step on stage and for a fucking participation award.
Right. Like, playing football or basketball or whatever, you watch game film, right? Like you watch film on the other teams.
Right. So it's like, it's not, we do it because we like competition. Like, yeah, we want to be better than ourselves, but at the end of the day, like you can do that doing anything.
Yeah.
Like you can, like there's a reason that people do bodybuilding over just chasing PRs in a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you do chase competition and like that's the sport. And so like to not care about like what other people are doing is next to impossible because at the end of the day, like your goal is to be better than other people.
Right. And I think I've caught myself doing this. If you're not comparing yourself, if you're not looking at the competition, or you're just saying like, oh, I'm going to go step on stage and see how I do, that's, first off, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like you're setting yourself up to not put 100% into it, or you're giving yourself a reason not to put 100% into it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only limiting your potential.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first like dabbled in the idea of bodybuilding, that was me. Like, I was like, I just really want to like do it to see how I do. And, which I do, like, that's obviously like, I do want to do that, but you very quickly like fall in love with the grind and, like the chase to be your best self. And I do think that's the aspect of it. Like, that's the self gratification portion of it, I guess, is like chasing something and be able to look back at it and be like, you know what? Like, I did that. And I think that kind of brings me to my next point, which we can kind of come back to the whole body image comparing thing. A lot of what I do, so I always get asked like all the time, like why I do social media. And like, I think it all kind of has like a common denominator, and it truly is just to be able to prove something to myself and my ability to achieve something. And so for me, my outlet in that is bodybuilding and social media. And the reason I say that is, so those two things specifically, like why I'm so passionate about it, is because growing up, like, I was extremely fortunate. I lived in a house where we never like had to question if we were gonna have to like not eat, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we were very fortunate in terms of obviously not like the wealthiest family, but like we were never hard off. And me and my mom are very close, so I would always get remarks about like me being spoiled. And my mom and I, my mom, I believe, did like, and I might be just really biased, but I think my mom did a really good job of raising me and my siblings, where she taught us a good work ethic, but also like if we needed her help, she would do it in a heartbeat. And like, there wasn't a whole lot of things that like, if we asked for it, like we didn't get, like, and not like just like stupid unnecessary things, right? But like, I don't know, like if we wanted a pair of new shoes or something, like we would have to do something for it, obviously.
Right, you
like
earn your keep.
Yeah, but like, did we get nice things, and did we get things like fairly frequently? We did. And I think my mom did a very good job of teaching us like balance between like helping us and working for what we want. But for me, I think I heard so many people say growing up, like talking about how spoiled I was. And so it really brought out like I think that's what made me want to be the independent person that I am, is because
you wanted to prove that you weren't spoiled and you were actually earning the things that you got.
Exactly. So I like am very passionate about social media in particular, and people always ask me like, oh, why is social media so big to you, or why do you care so much about your Instagram platform? Like, and I think for me, it's because like, it's one of the things that I can say that like I built from the ground up by myself, and like nobody else did it for me. Right. Like, so I think that's like one reason why I'm so passionate about my social media platform, is because like at the end of the day, like nobody else did that. And I think it's the same thing with bodybuilding. Like, and I think that's why I'm so drawn to the sport, is because like it's a very individual sport. And yes, like you need community. Like they say it's an individual sport, but I do think it's very strongly associated with community, and that's huge. Like your circle's huge, your support's huge. But at the end of the day, like what you do and your success in the sport is 1000% dependent on you and you only.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's why I love it so much, is because I'm drawn to proving to people that like I do things on my own and can do things on my own. And like, I like to be able to say like, oh, I did that. And nobody can be like, no, they did that.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of a long tangent, but it's something I'm very strongly passionate about, because I don't know.
No, I think it's a good point, and it's understandable. Like, knowing you put in the work for everything that you have. So I don't think it's something to be viewed as negative.
Yeah, and like growing up, like I was never a kid, like just because we did, like we were able to, or fortunate enough to like get things or whatever, like I was still that kid that worked at a pizza shop on top of playing sports all day, every day. Like I still worked. Like it's not like she taught me to like just sit around and do nothing, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was fortunate enough that I think I learned my work ethic from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of in the same boat. Like, we weren't wealthy, but like we never missed a meal or anything like that, and we always had what we needed. But my dad was a nurse, and he didn't finish nursing school until he was 40. He started nursing school when he was 38, so I think he ended up with an associate's in nursing. But he was always running me and my brother around to the different sports. Like, we played sports year round, and they always made sure we had like cleats and shoes and everything that we needed. And, you know, on top of that, my dad was going to school at the same time, just like making sure we had everything that we needed. So, yeah, I think he was kind of like the foundation of me just working to make sure we had everything that we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one thing for me too, like, so my parents got a divorce when I was in like second grade, I think. I'm not even really sure. But I remember my mom like saying, and I will like never forget how this like stuck with me, because I feel like it was very like selfless of her. But and my mom, for anybody that doesn't know me or know my family, my mom owns a hair salon, so she owns her own business. And I remember her saying, when her and my dad went through her divorce, that she never wanted like her situation and her going through a divorce to affect us kids. So she never wanted our lives to change based on what was happening in her life. So even though she was going from being a married woman with 2 incomes, it was like very evident that she didn't want that to affect the way that we lived. So like she didn't want to say that we couldn't have things anymore because her and my dad weren't together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that just like has always stuck with me. And I think especially in like this new chapter of my life, and like last year when like I was in that same situation, I was like, I don't want my daughter to like have to live a different life because of the things that I'm going through. Like, I don't want to not be able to pick up my daughter because of me being a single mom. You know what I mean? Like, it's finding a way to like make those life changes without, I don't know, you don't ever want your kids to catch the wrath of that kind of stuff. So I think that's really big, and I think that's huge when it comes to parenting, is kind of finding that happy medium. We're kind of hopping around a little bit, but that's okay. Let's go back to like comparing ourselves and doom scrolling on social media and body image. Those are all kind of the same thing for me.
Yeah, it can be tough. Like, you know, obviously bodybuilding, you're trying to look the best. Like, you're trying to look like a superhero, and that's what you're judged on. You're judged on the way you look. When, growing up, we're taught to, not care about that type of stuff. But with social media so prevalent and so easily accessible and takes up so much of our time, it's easy to be caught in that in that whirlwind of just doom scrolling and comparing yourself to people and looking to see who's competing at your show, because I've done that too, just to see who might be looking better than you. And to be honest, in reality, when it comes to bodybuilding, somebody can be looking better than you throughout the entire prep, and when it comes to show day, they peak incorrectly, or they spill over, or their tan's messed up, or they get sick, and you never know in bodybuilding until you're on stage next to somebody. Somebody can look like they're going to blow you out of the water, and then show day comes and you end up winning or losing. So it's understandable, from the competitive side, to be scrolling through and comparing yourself to people in that aspect, but it doesn't help. Like, it's not gonna allow you to get an edge on anybody.
All right.
Like, you can't do that and be like, all right, well, I need to work a little bit harder, because in reality, you need to be working harder anyway.
Right. If there's any question there, that's like your answer, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it really is crazy though. Like, the body dysmorphia in general is crazy, because like you can lose like 30 some pounds and like look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I look awful today.
Yeah.
And then you look back when you're like back in your normal like maintenance, and you're like, what the shit was I thinking? Like, it's crazy to think that. It
can be tough, and people with like with really bad body dysmorphia, or people with who don't have good relationships with food, can end up really hurting themselves in the sport. And I don't want to say that I have like an eating disorder per se, but I've ended up in situations where I binge eat so much, and I've come out of a show and I just like completely destroy myself, and it just whirlwinds, and you end up in the situation where you bury yourself too much, and you're like, oh well, I guess I'm already here, so I might as well just keep eating shit.
Yeah, so I think that's what scared me away from the sport for so long, is because I struggled with eating disorders a lot when I was in high school. And I don't even know that me and you have ever really talked about this.
You've touched on it a little bit.
A little bit, but like I don't even know if you like really know how bad it was. So growing up, I was like always heavier set. I lived in like boys shorts, and I always joke with people because I was a tomboy, but I actually was just really insecure. And it just happened that I was also a tomboy. But like my mom would pay me, or try to pay me, I wouldn't even do it, to try on like girls like short shorts, like gym shorts. Like those Nike like
like the old track shorts.
Yeah, like the Nike shorts that were like really in style. It kept me out of volleyball for a long time. And then when I finally did get talked into going out for volleyball, I didn't wear spandex. I was really, really insecure about my weight. And I kind of just like blamed it on the fact that I was a tomboy, but that really was just like part of it. And getting into high school, I won't get into like a ton of my traumatic experience, but basically something happened to me, and I was like, I felt very belittled And I like start to become like very fixated on my appearance. And I started like trying to lose weight. Well, then it kind of became like my hyperfixation. Like I would get really, really small, and that would come at the expense of not eating. And then any time that I did eat, I would puke. And it got like really bad. Like anytime I consumed any food, I would immediately like find a way to go to the bathroom and throw up. And I like hid this from my family, obviously. Like I didn't want anybody to know. So I would like try to make the noise in the bathroom like loud as hell. Or like
turn the sink on.
Yeah, like find ways that like no way my family would know that like what was going on.
Yep.
And I remember one day, I think my mom like found throw up in the toilet or something. I don't even remember what it was like, but my mom knew instantly, and I think everybody knew, but they just thought I like wasn't eating. My mom had no idea it was to the extent of me like actually like throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like extremely eye-opening to me. And once I graduated high school, so like all throughout high school, I literally didn't eat. Like I didn't eat school lunches. When I did eat, I would throw up. Like I don't even know how I survived. I was a 4-sport athlete. I look back on high school and I'm like, how did I even have the energy to live? And so after I graduated, I got into weightlifting because I chose not to play any sports in college. I decided that I would rather like not go into college like having to play sports as a job. And I wanted to like end sports on a note of me enjoying it. So I decided I was just going to focus on college and not play any sports. And that's when I fell in love with like weightlifting, because it like gave me something to channel my like energy into.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started getting really big into lifting and stuff, that's when I started like taking my diet seriously and realized that the way I was living was like not a thing. It was not sustainable. Obviously, I was literally eating nothing. But anyways, long story short, really long story short, that's kind of where like my negative like relationship with food came from. And I finally, like, it took me a really long time to get myself out of being like bulimic and like a Nazi about my food. Can I say Nazi on here?
Sure.
It took me a really long time to like unlearn that. So I was scared of bodybuilding for a really long time because I was scared that I was going to like relapse into, and not even necessarily like the actual like eating disorder part, but like the headspace of just like body dysmorphia and the relationship of all of that with food and like what all of that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that it was like a really scary thing for me to get into, but after a lot of years of like learning about myself, learning about food and using it as fuel and like all of the things, I think like after a really long time, I finally decided like, and having a baby, like I learned so much about my body and just a lot of different things. That I was like, you know what, like I am truly to the point where I think I could talk myself out of really any thought. Just because I got myself to a point of like loving and appreciating my body especially after having a baby, that I wasn't as worried about it. So that's kind of like why I was able to dive into the sport.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to talk to your mom about it?
I would have never talked to my mom if she wouldn't have found throw up in the toilet. And I think I still kind of came up with a reason as to why that was there. I don't even know if I like ever really told her. I think I like came up with an excuse.
Do you feel like the struggle comes back at all, ever?
I can honestly say, like, since, you know, I don't know the last time that, like, the thought has even crossed my mind to, like, make myself throw up, which is, like, the coolest thing ever, besides, like, maybe a couple times when I was, like, really intoxicated and I was like, I should make myself throw up before I die. But nothing, like, food related.
Yeah.
I can't really say that I've had any, like, negative relationships with food other than, like, it's actually the opposite. Like, now I'm like, I can out eat a mother fricker. Like, I can, like, proudly, like, own up to that. And I think it's because, like, I've just gotten myself to a point where, like, I'm so confident in, like, just myself, you know? Mm-hmm. And not even, like, myself. Like, I definitely, that sounds, like, kind of cocky of me to say, but that's not how I...
No, I think it's important to have self-confidence to the right level.
Right. But the weird thing is that, like, I'm still very insecure. I don't know. That sounds, like, all very contradictory. But I think I'm just, like, especially in lifting and, like, I like being strong. Like, you know, if that, like, I don't necessarily, like, have to look a certain way. Like, yeah, bodybuilding's fun. Being lean is fun. But, like, I also hold, like, a lot of pride in, like, not being shredded with a six-pack and being able to, like, put up weight and feel good and just, like, have that, like, good quality of life. For me, like, the aesthetic is cool, but it's more about the lifestyle in general. Mm-hmm. And I think it's true that, like, you can't be in fitness at all. Like, you can't be in fitness to solely chase aesthetic. Like, it can be a really big part in it, and I think it's important, but because you obviously need some sort of, like, motivation, right?
Sure.
And I don't think that's vain. I think that's okay to chase, but I also think that, like, your passion has to be deeper than the way you see yourself, mm-hmm. because that comes and goes. Like, I mean, shit, even today, like, I was looking at myself and I was like, like, that's...
Which is crazy because you're 3 weeks out from a show. Like, you look phenomenal.
And so that's, like, that's the crazy part of the sport. And, like, but you have to know when to separate yourself and, like, know that you're being delusional. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing of the sport is you have to be able to, like...
Self-awareness is important.
Yeah, you have to be able to talk yourself out of that. So I think that that's really important as well.
I think it's a situation that I've noticed a lot is the people who are most comfortable with their bodies or with food or with, you know, some type of necessity in their routine, it's derived from, like, it's derived from something that they did not have a good relationship with before. Mm-hmm. It's like you kind of have to have this really awful experience with something to truly understand what it's worth.
Yep. And I think that's with anything.
Yeah.
Like, really, honestly, like, I feel like I've learned all of my most valuable lessons when I've, like, taken shit, you know? Yeah. Like, I think you learn a lot from the good in life, but I think you learn the most from the bad.
Yeah. It's as if it's necessary to fail to actually perfect something.
I 100% think that's a thing.
I don't think there's any professional or any perfectionist out there who hasn't failed at what they're great at.
I honestly sometimes, for me in particular, I am way more motivated by my failure than my wins. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I have kind of talked about this quite a bit, is like, when we kind of feel like we're in a rut, right? Like, or when something negative happens, I think some people, everybody takes those in different ways. So like for some people, it kind of like paralyzes them. Like something bad happening in their life paralyzes them. And I think to some extent, like obviously there's different things that can like paralyze people more than others, obviously. But like, I'm the type of person where like my pain genuinely motivates me. Like I'm not the type of person that if somebody like really pisses me off or if something like really hurts me, like I'm not one to sit around and be like, now what? I'm like, it's go time. Like that's my mentality. And I've always been like that. And I don't foresee me ever not being like that.
Like there's no pity party.
No, I don't have time for that. Like, if anybody ever like pisses me off or like I don't even know, does me dirty or like really anything, like my first thought is like, I'm proving you wrong.
I think in those situations, my mind tends to try to research on why.
Like why something didn't work out?
Yeah, like why something didn't work out, why it's putting me in a mood that I'm in. Like the importance of what went wrong
and how you can be better.
Yeah. Like more of a self-evaluation. So like I think it might be viewed as like paralysis, but I think it's me just like basically sitting and studying the situation before like I act out or do something crazy.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
I'm not saying what I'm doing is the right way. I'm just saying that's what I do.
No, you're really good about that.
Because like at the same time, like what you do, just acting and working, I think has a lot of pros to it. And I envy you for that. I wish I could just like get angry and then just start ripping through work and, making shit happen.
Yeah, I think there's definitely pros and cons to both for sure, because I do think that there is something to be said about like feeling your feelings too. Because I think if we like just try to like move past the way we're feeling without like acknowledging the feelings.
But the thing is, I used to be terrible at it.
Right.
I used to be like, before I moved to Florida, I was terrible at feeling my emotions, and I just like acted out on myself.
Yeah, I think there's a good like happy medium, but also like everyone's different too. Like everybody requires something, but I do firmly believe that like not feeling anything or like not even giving yourself the chance to feel something is also like not positive. So I think it's really important to like kind of find that happy medium and like acknowledging it, feeling it, but then also like not letting it keep you down for too long.
Well, I think that's a good episode. A little bit shorter this time. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Well, thank you all again for being crazy enough to watch us. Whether you're just now watching us for the first time or you look forward to our episodes, we appreciate you all. We've been having fun.
Yeah. This is episode 4, right? The 4th one.
Is it 4 or 3? No, this is 4.
Yeah.
So episode number 4. A little bit different today than the normal videos, but
why not?
It's really fun.
Yeah. Guys, if you're not already, if you can, subscribe. That would be helpful. Like and comment if you want. Comment something good, comment something bad, or comment something funny.
All right. That's all she wrote for the night,
Yes.
folks.
Bye.